Okay, see if this will work now. Okay, hello, my name is Bella Summers, and for my final presentation for SPS 240, I chose to explore the state of Florida. I've always loved traveling to Florida, and I feel like, especially in the 2020 election, that it was quite not a controversial state, but it was just a very interesting state to watch to see kind of where they fell in kind of the political atmosphere and just kind of how much they supported Donald Trump, which is interesting because we haven't really seen that enthusiasm from Florida before. So I chose to explore Florida. Let's see. Oh, here we go. All right, so what data was collected? So I did let's see, it's saying I did the 4 required data sets, and then I also included the crime rate overall in Florida, and I'll explain that a little bit more then. But the first one was the percentage of votes between Donald Trump and Joe Biden per county. And I believe there was like 76 counties. The urban and rural codes per county, median household income, racial composition, the third and fourth data set, they were originally one, but I split it up into 2 slides because there was too much information to include. So I just made those separate ones, and then the 5th being crime rate overall. Okay, so the first data, the percent of votes that Donald Trump and Joe Biden received in the 2020 election by county, there was quite a bit of information. So I don't know if you can see the chart that I made, but very clear that Trump won the overall votes in Florida. There were a few that were either tied or just a little bit over, but most of the outliers are that Trump won drastically over Joe Biden. But there were some cities that were more metropolitan cities that we saw lean more towards Joe Biden, which is not super surprising because we have seen that before where metropolitan cities tend to vote a little bit more left. So that wasn't anything out of the ordinary. So I just created this graph because I think it displayed the information really, really well. Yeah. Okay, the second data, I put it into a chart because the information that was included, it just wasn't really going well any other way. So the second data was the rural and urban classification for each county. So I didn't include the whole entire data set that I had found that is included in my final report, but I did just kind of take a section of it just so you could see what I was speaking about. So and it's over here. So it classifies it as either like small metro, medium metro, non-core, large fringe metro, all different types of classification saying if it's either rural or urban. And yeah, so I just kind of included that just so you could see a little bit of what I was speaking about. Okay, the third data set, census demographic set. So this is the part 1 for the third set. So this is the average income per county. There were really no outliers in this data set. We do see St. Lucie. They are kind of on the coast of Florida, so that would make sense, more of a coastal resort county would, highlight maybe a higher income. So that's not really surprising, but pretty steady overall. Just a few that were higher than others, but really no drastic lows. A few highs, but nothing too out of the ordinary. So some of the highest ones, as you can see, as I just mentioned, St. Lucie, Washington, Alcula, let's see, what else? Nassau. Yeah, nothing too shocking there. So that was the third data set. And so part two of the third data set was the racial composition of each county. This I found really, really interesting to see the differences between each county. It would be interesting to explore kind of the background and the history of why that might be. Information might be a little bit limited, but this was really, really interesting. So I included Black or African American, Hispanic or Latino, Asian alone, American Indian, and white alone. So yeah, just really, really interesting to see how different, like that. I would say that American Indian, their percentages stayed roughly the same in each county. But what really differed was Hispanic or Latino. And that was really interesting to see. And I think that Florida is known for being a very Cuban, very Latin state. So I thought there would be higher percentages of maybe Hispanic or Latino people. But yes, this is what came up with. The county in which there was the most Latin Hispanic people was Miami-Dade. That did not surprise me at all. I think that everyone regards Miami as being very Latin. So that one, not shocking. Okay, the fourth data set is the data that I included as a poli-sci major. I'm not just interested in politics, but I'm also interested in crime. Criminal justice kind of piques my interest a little bit too. So I was interested to see just what crimes were more prevalent in Florida, and it would be interesting to see that versus some of the other states that are in that area. But I just broke them down based off of the type of crime that the FBI uses when calculating this data. So that includes violent crime, murder, non-negligent, manslaughter, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, property crime, burglary, larceny, and motor vehicle theft. So very clear, property crime is the highest crime perpetrated. And see what else. Larceny is also, what surprised me is I thought that motor vehicle theft would be more prevalent, but I think that might be just more of like a California, LA thing. Very low murder, violent crime, robbery, all very low. So property crime is what we see most there. Okay, what did I find? Just the correlation between some of the counties' incomes and their voting history was very interesting to see. I mentioned earlier how a lot of metropolitan cities tend to vote left, and that was no surprise. We saw that a little bit in the data set that I found. I include this information, but the most crime committed, I would love to explore that a little bit more, maybe why that is. Property crime, why property crime is the most crime committed. That, and I found that there is no really any outliers that raise any flags. Florida seems to be a pretty stable state when it comes to income equality and such as that. The only thing that really stood out is the voting between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Very pro-Trump. So that was really, really interesting to see. And it seemed very polarized isn't the word because it's just the outcome of the election, but wasn't close at all. So that was really interesting to see. And I think that's what I was suspecting as well. And here are my citations. And thank you for listening and watching.